Little bit.
Yeah.
For the 5 people out there that get that, that was totally worth it. That was totally worth it.
My God, that was so awesome. Unbelievable.
Oh, but hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Practice Tactical. This is our live show streaming to you during tea and crumpets time, and a slightly impromptu afternoon show. So I hope there will be some people out there watching right now. I'm not. Everyone's probably at work. That's the problem with gun owners. They actually at work.
Yes.
So, but it's gonna be a great show anyways for you guys watching later on. It's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna talk about a few fun things here. Catch up with Steve because man, it's been like I want to say it's been 8 months since you've been on the show, somewhere in there, something like that.
Last time, matter of fact, I think last time I was here in Alliance, the last time we really locked down.
Yeah, we did try to get you on that one time, but
I was busy, bathrobe, bourbon. It wasn't happening.
But for everybody out there, if there's anybody watching, hey, put your questions in the YouTube chat, and I know Steve would be more than happy to answer your questions. He loves answering questions from the internet. So, also, if you could please click that like and share button, I would greatly appreciate it. But I don't have any pre-podcast show announcements, so I'm going to cough here and we're going to start the show. Still fighting this water park Ebola I got. Welcome to Practically Tactical, episode 67, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. The Practically Tactical Show is a slightly more practical approach to the firearms lifestyle. The show features a roundtable discussion about guns, gear, and shooting with some of the best firearms instructors, shooters, and figures in the firearms industry. I like the new intro, by the way. It's kind of fancy, isn't it?
That was awesome. Very nice.
For more information on the show, links to anything me and Steve discuss here, please visit practacpodcast.com/067. On this episode, we are blessed. All hail the Steve. We have Steve Fisher from Sentinel Concepts coming on the show. It's been forever, man, but hey, thanks for coming on and kind of doing this afternoon chat with us.
Yeah, dude, it's great to be back on with you. It's been a while. It's the matinee showing is actually half price from the normal price today, so when it comes to the free bucket of popcorn.
Oh, I should have brought some popcorn with me. That would have been great.
You should have, yeah.
Just made it rain with popcorn while we're listening to 50 Cent and doing our Temple Index, you know.
You're like, oh, that was terrible. Oh, what a good night. The only thing that's keeping me awake right now after driving like 18 hours is the meth. So I'm doing.
Oh, well, you still got all your teeth, so you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. But on this show, we're gonna be just hanging out a little bit, maybe just talking a little guns, gear, and kind of whatever comes up. I do want to catch up on Steve's schedule because the guy is traveling everywhere right now. So we're definitely gonna hit on that here. But before we start, I want to move into our operators report real quick here, where we can get the lowdown dirty from true operators like Steve here. So we talked about on shows before the new Beretta APX striker-fired handgun. Now, I'll pick your brain about what I can and can't because I don't know. You know, there's probably some OPSEC stuff going on in here, but you played a little bit in feedback and kind of the design of it, didn't you?
I did have some discussions with the current Beretta. Really good guys over there. I've had their engineering staff, some of their designers, some of their higher level people in a couple of classes over the past few years. Really, really super responsive and always willing to listen. That's the best thing that I liked about really working with those guys. But yeah, they did ask for some input on the gun. Whatever got implemented or not, that's beyond my pay grade, obviously, because it was more like free advice. So yeah, from what I've seen of the gun so far, the mock-ups and the the printed models and one of the working ones, it's looking pretty legit. I'm not gonna. I'm pretty excited about it coming out.
For me, it was instantly. I saw the flat trigger, and I was like, You can't say anything though. You can't say anything.
I think I know somebody. Yeah, I'll tell you what. That was a hard pistol to keep secret, man. I was super excited about it, and I still am. And hopefully here in the next week, I'll be able to get some more trigger time on it. So
you've shot it.
I didn't say that. I just said I'd like to get some trigger time on it and do something. I'm tired. Okay, I've been on the road driving.
I know. I'm beating up on you, aren't I?
Like I'm going back to sleep.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think the release has been scheduled, I think, end of May, maybe somewhere in there? I don't remember off the top of my head.
You'd probably You may see one at NRA probably. I don't know for sure, but I'll tell you what, just the ergonomics of the gun, the way it feels, they've got a pretty good winner on their hands as long as everything stays true to what they've been doing with it so far. And it's a nice gun. You're gonna like
Yeah.
it.
All right, and then we've hit on this a lot, so I'm not going to do it too much, but I'll give you one word. Glock 43 in one word.
Little.
There we go. All right, that works. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our main segment here, just kind of chatting with Steve. So, man, where have you been the past 8? Well, I should say, where haven't you been the past like 8 or 10 months?
Everywhere. The past couple weeks have been really crazy. Man, just training after training after training and teaching. We had a couple classes with Will Petty already this year. Again, great guy. I managed to go from Michigan to Florida, from Florida up to New York City right after class. Literally left that day from Gainesville, Florida, drove another like 1,800 miles up to New York City, where I proceeded to get out of the truck, say hi to Will, put my gear on, and get right on the range. That was a good time. Great guys up there and gals at NYPD. They took really good care of us. It was an amazing class. We had some really good high-level people in there, and it's now being passed along. Will's program is now being, shoved down to academy level. They've taught their 14th class already on it there.
Wow.
They have almost 2,000 plus officers that it has to get out to with inside certain bureaus. So it was good. It was a really good time. Great guys. I had an awesome time there with them. Got to visit the 9/11 memorial, which was absolutely gut-wrenching. Not going to lie, it was very, it was a very like sombering experience to go there and actually see everything and kind of recall and relive those moments in our history. Which talking to some guys, was kind of like our generation's version of Pearl Harbor, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had tears streaming. I mean, I was absolutely full of tears after that. And it was hard walking out of the place because I literally could not breathe. I couldn't get enough oxygen in. It was like you were holding your breath the entire experience. It was just unbelievable. And everybody in this country should go visit that as a reminder. Absolutely.
So the new buildings are completed, right?
Yeah, they're up. Yes, they are.
Okay. Did you go into those at all, or?
No, did you get to see them around the perimeter? It's not the same. Definitely not the same.
It's not the same.
The skyline will never be the same. And it was actually kind of ironic. One of the things I didn't realize is that there was one tree that had survived the building collapses of the towers. And when they cleared away all the debris and everything else that was there, that there was this tree. And literally, it just they bent it back, sprung it back, roped it up, chained it off, and that tree has actually been growing and blooming every year since. It is the only surviving landscape of that whole thing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really was kind of one of those moments. So.
Yeah, no, that's definitely on my list. That's on my I don't my kids, they don't understand it. Like they know of it, but they don't understand it. And it's something that I would, when they get old enough to take them to that. Kind of sounds weird, like, hey kids, let's go to this memorial. But I think it's important for the kids to know history. A lot of kids nowadays don't know history, in my opinion.
A lot of kids these days don't know anything, and they should be beaten. Just
I can neither confirm nor deny that any of that would happen at my house. So, but no, and then that you're talking to Will Petty, who's been on the show. Hopefully, will be on the show in April. Yeah. So that guy's like a man. What would be the proper term? We'll say, is he like in the gun industry? He's like the Michael Jackson of the '80s. Like he's just like the king of CQB.
He is like the king of vehicle CQB. We've said it a million times. When Will first started working this program, I got to get on a few early classes with him. Watching the whole transformation of the program from beginning to end has been phenomenal. And I really shouldn't say end because it's still ever evolving. As living in the Motor City area, I've had an opportunity to look at some different vehicle stuff that's coming out, panels, vehicle glass, new standards that are showing up, as well as Will has on his end, and with some friends of ours in the FBI. So it's ever evolving, it's ever changing, and it will. But Will just knocked it out of the park with this class. This program is absolutely phenomenal. And I tell people this: he is literally the new Costa. Like, no BS. He is literally that guy who is going to set the industry upside down again with, really good, relevant information, and to see the amount of respect that he has from agencies across the country based off this program is just mind blowing. And their willingness to bring us in, talk about things, discuss things, and letting us hopefully change their perspective on things. So it's just great, man. Will's an awesome cat. I'm totally lucky to be friends with him and hang out with him and train with him and teach with him. And he just recently told me about Arc'teryx, and he's been preaching it ever since, like, 7 years ago to me, and I just finally got on board with that. So, kind of an inside joke. You'll have to ask him about that. So,
all right, I posted this up too on Facebook, and I actually ordered it too. Endo Apparel, which, by the way, I'm rocking their shirt, tactical as fill in the blank, is they dropped a patch that looks like their logo, but it's like a dead guy's body with his head kind of bent over that says "Can't Even." I was like, that's awesome. I ordered 2 of them.
That's awesome.
I thought that was hilarious. So for everybody out there, if you guys don't know who Endo Apparel is, I ordered their shirts. They're amazingly awesome, and of course they're awesome gun shirts, but they're really soft. So I'll tell you what, we got to take a break from kind of chatting here, as we have, man, a ton of awesome questions here in the chat.
I'm scared.
I'm assuming, I don't want to say groupies. I don't think that would be the right term. Just really, really good fans of yours, Steve. Very good fans.
Great. I'm scared.
One would be from Doug W.G.
Mr. Doug EI himself.
That's right. We have him. He was curious, wanting to know how many gray gray hairs you had in your beard.
218 at last count.
And we have Colt 45 Irish saying, tell him his gray beard is disruptive.
Oh, that's so adaptive of him to think of that.
Then an actual question here: if Petty is Costa, what does that make Steve, Travis?
I don't know. That would make me a lot taller than all 3 of them. So
we do have to give a shout out to. We got Doug, we got Colt, we got Tyler, we got Sergey's one of those. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong there. In the chat, so we got a bunch of people watching. So, here is actually a fantastic question that just came in, an actual real question. We'll stop messing around. And what is the main difference between students at Sentinel Concepts and then Magpul? I think that's kind of an interesting question.
There really isn't. When I left Magpul in January of 2014, started up Sentinel. Nothing really changed. When you go to a training program, you get the instructor's program. It doesn't matter if it would be Sentinel, Magpul. If I went to go work for whoever it would be in the industry, let's say, you get that instructor. You get that instructor. You get that instructor's program. I did change after Chris had left, Travis had left Magpul. I definitely changed up the curriculum quite a bit. We just kind of re-evaluated what was being taught, what we felt inside the house that was a little bit more pertinent, relevant to what we were seeing with our students, and trying to get away from the, face facts. We had fanboys. Chris and Travis had fanboys. Not gonna lie, I didn't have fanboys because nobody liked them, which was absolutely fine by me. I really didn't care. But we were looking at more serious students. We wanted the guys that really wanted to come and train, who really wanted to come and learn, not stand around and take pictures. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's always a lot of it. We see it going on all the time, and there is no difference. The difference is this is me. It's my program, my philosophy, my theories, my skill sets, and my ability to judge, correct, and help people basically grow and develop as shooters.
So back in the day at Magpul, what would have been like if Instagram was as big as it was now back then?
Oh my God, I would have started my gun. There would have been dudes like, Chris Costa just touched me on my shoulder and said, "Hey bro, you suck," and walked past me. Stuff like that. It would have been like hashtag selfie I suck, click. I mean, yeah, bro, it would have been awesome. I'm just, yeah, honestly. No, you know what? It would have been absolutely crazy. It would have been worse than a Rob Pincus video. But I said out loud, "Hey, Rob." So, yeah.
Another question from Doug. Temple Index works for what adult type positions? I didn't read that correctly until right now when I was saying that.
Well, Doug, you'll find out when I get in the shop next week.
Um, and then oh, we got JW Ramp popping in here.
J-Dub.
Yep. Oh, I got if I can say it correctly. McGee, I'm gonna take your picture tomorrow, Steve. That's not actually how JW talks, but
No, J-Dub's coming out. He's coming to Alliance tomorrow. He's bringing the drone. We've got home defense handgun going on for a couple of days, so it's a full class. Good buddy Triple Bravo's coming out as well to shoot some photos. J-Dub's going to be out doing some videos. It's going to be a pretty good time. We got a great cast of characters coming in for this one. So,
and you know what? That'll be kind of a good point of topic here, and I kind of want to jump on that. So starting. Well, we're recording the show near the end of April, and then starting in April, we're doing our EDC stuff where we're having listeners come on and people being able to talk about their EDC. But kind of something I want to hit with you because the vehicle tactics show we did was incredibly popular, and I don't want to take credit for this, but I saw you post up some like Brazilian Secret Service troops or whatever, like, hey, we listened to you on this show, Steve, and we learned all this stuff. I don't know if that was me specifically, but I'm going to take credit.
That was all you. I give you 100% credit for that because the Brazilians love you.
The Brazilians love me.
It's
But something I do want to talk about here, and we've actually got some of these questions quite a bit, was, so we're going to talk about all of our EDC stuff, but I kind of wanted to just change it towards what changes in your EDC, for example, with traveling. With podcast listeners, obviously, we have a lot of guys that travel. We have a lot of guys that drive trucks and, travel and fly and drive. So a lot of the guys, have to kind of curtail, okay, what am I looking at ahead and how does that change, for example? And I kind of wanted to maybe break it down of like vehicle, hotel, obviously, you being in one, and then maybe we'll get home and some other stuff. But in just the generic question would be when you're looking at traveling and obviously carrying a gun every day and what is it that when you're planning your trip, are there any certain things like you have like a checklist or I need to make sure I have X, Y, Z than anything else I take? What's kind of your thought process of that?
I start looking, in advance of the class schedule. Like this recent trip for me has been Florida to New York to home to take a 3-day class, and turn around, leave, repack, go to Texas to teach, come back from Texas to teach, and then leave here to go to actually Moyoc to go teach a writers conference for Beretta in like a week, not a week, like 2 days. Oh, God, my schedule. So I start planning it out pretty well in advance, how many classes I'll be at back to back or teaching or traveling in between. My truck is a rolling fortress, literally, of gear. I've got a steel lockbox in the bed. I've got everything from full medical gear, water, food, all the things you should have in a vehicle, extra blankets, road flares, everything you should have to support a family or friends or passengers. So it's not just about one, it's usually about others. So it's not only is it, immediate now gear, then it's sustainment gear as well. Mm-hmm. As well as that, I have, my full medical package in that truck includes an AED. I have a small, kind of miniature single car crash bag kind of thing. Then I have a larger one. Then I always have my full med bag that I take with me to classes. That's complete with IVs, everything else that I would need potentially for the worst mass trauma that I could ever come up with. So vehicle-wise, that's the starting point for me as I look at, okay, I'm going to be gone X period of time, X length, what else do I need to put in the truck? What else do I need to have with me? And generally it really doesn't change as far as from, driving to any of the classes in particular outside of my loadout for guns. Once I start talking airline travel, things of that nature, then it starts to change. So okay. If I break it down, there's like my carry-on bag is a simple medium-sized to semi-large Timbuktu bag. That includes a water bottle for once I get through security, fill it with water and ice. I've got a bottle of water there, a Surefire flashlight, Surefire pen.
Did they let you take that through?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No problems. It's all in the bag.
On the last show, we discussed Trex and...
those guys have the worst luck ever. In like umpteen years of flying, have never had a problem other than TSA agents asking me for autographs. It's just terrible. I never run into that problem. The biggest problem I ever ran into was I had one round of like 230 grain ball ammo after doing a train to trainer class for an agency in southern Florida. That was in the bottom of my backpack because I didn't shake the pack out, and they caught it. And the lady acted like I was literally going to take over the world with that round. And he woke up this old crusty sheriff's department deputy who come walking up, and she says, "Do you know what this is?" He goes, "Yes," and he threw it right in the garbage and walked away. And it was just awesome. So I can't think of it. But no, for airlines, it doesn't change a whole lot. It's a surefire pen. The water bottle for various reasons. There's you know
Alcohol.
exactly. But to be honest with you, like the Liberty water bottles with a good locking seal on them, they make great impact weapons once you do get on board a plane for personal security use in the event of. As well, a surefire hurricane carrier with the 6 bulbs and the 6 batteries in it. Writing utensils, and then probably my most favorite thing that I carry with me too is a hotel room key card wrapped with duct tape.
Hmm.
That one to me goes with me everywhere. I have used it more times than I can count, and paracord usually because I can always break shoelaces, whatever I need it for. So for airline travel, it's pretty scaled back. My guns are usually in the belly of the plane, and everything else. Inside that Timbuktu bag is usually one of Kerry Davis's med kits, his pocket Dark Angel kit.
Mm-hmm.
I run that with an extra tourniquet in there as well, an extra pressure dressing stuffed in. There's a Curlex. So I kind of up that a little bit, and that's pretty much about it for airline travel.
Now, how many people when you're flying be like, are you the air marshal?
No, because I'm usually asleep within 3.5 minutes. Once I do get on the plane, it's the sunglasses down, the Bose noise canceling headsets are on, and I am done. Like, go away.
Speaking of paracord, though, and I don't know if you've seen it before, but I kind of want to mention it because they're awesome. Spool Tool. Have you seen that product before? I don't. Mine's actually upstairs because I actually just used it a little while ago to put different laces on my boots. But I'll show a picture of those watching on YouTube here. That spool tool right there, it holds all the spool. It has a built-in razor blade cutter up top there, and then you don't see it in here because I was using it to melt it. It also holds a smaller Bic lighter in it.
Cool.
So it's a really cool tool. I keep some of my vehicles generally just because it's amazingly so useful, especially, I take 8 million kids camping, so whether you got to tie one down to the roof or,
you just always have to do that.
Kidnap another kid, because we just bring them home around here,
They're like stray puppies. They're like stray puppies. Look, honey, I found another one.
That's exactly it.
That's kind of like the current crop of pop-up gun instructors. Anyway, go ahead.
We need to get you on the show when you're more tired because you're just that filter is just gone, right? What about hotel staying? Obviously, I know that you've stayed in a few motels and hotels and everything in between from time to time. What do you generally do for your setup, or what do you usually bring in out of your vehicle? Let's maybe start that, and then from there we'll maybe talk about some setup stuff. What do you usually bring into the hotel room with you?
Clothes. That starts. No, generally for me it's the high priority gear, my guns, equipment like that. I've recently discovered right after SHOT Show the hard cases from Tactical to Go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen them or not, but they're really cool. They hold 2 M4s, 2 handguns, 6 pistol mags if you put 2 in the pistol, and then 4 spares, 8 AR mags, and then a 30 cal ammo can with some other spaces cut out. It's everything I need, literally, minus the ammo, unless I load all the mags, and I just take it out of the truck, roll it in, and I'm pretty much done. So my guns and gear usually come in the room, but when I am staying in a hotel, I usually have a pretty good pre-setup. My EDC kit goes on the nightstand, usually in either a fanny pack of some sort. I have one of the old Eagle gun bags, and I have one from Eberly that I use. That's pretty low profile. It's not I'm going to go wear it running around town. That way, if in the middle of the night something does go on, it's happened to me like 3 times in the past year. The fire alarms have gone off, because either somebody's cooking aluminum foil or something's burning in the kitchen. It's happened. I'll jump up at 4 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarms go off. I grab that bag, grab my flashlight, and I'm gone. It has my pistol in it, a med kit, a multi-tool, and a knife, and I'm pretty much out the door.
Okay. What about for setup when you're in your actual hotel room? Do you let's say for example you hide a gun in the like little night stand thing? Do you have it setting out? Do you, what do you usually set up for next to you? We'll
It
say
sits
the
right
nightstand
here,
EDC.
right here next to me, right next to the nightstand. Whatever gun it is I'm carrying, that happens to be a Nighthawk 1911 and 45. So I generally have my handgun, handy dandy Surefire. This one's an E2D Defender. That sits there, and then there's usually the Raven pocket module loader thing by Chris Fry. That he helped develop with that, and has a spare mag, my extra daily Surefire, pocket light, and a custom fixed blade from Kim Breed on it. That's usually what's there with me, and my cell phone.
Okay. We do have to jump back. I got a bunch more questions here. Serge, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but he had a follow-up question to his earlier question about differences. So he says, since no two classes are the same, how do you evaluate the skill of students and adjust so that everyone learns?
I have a set of baseline standards that I use that we shoot cold right out of the gate. They're actually going to be published on the website for a variation of them to give guys a baseline of what they should be able to have skill-wise coming into the class, so they know ahead of time, hey, maybe I should go back and do the essential handgun versus, say, critical handgun. So those will be up, but I have a baseline drill that I do for every class. It's a time standard, and that allows me to judge kind of the flow of the class and what we need to work on. If I've got 80% of the classes squared away, good to go guys, and I have that 10 to 15% that maybe aren't at all because they kind of overthought of themselves at that point in time, really weren't sure what they were getting themselves into with their abilities or their skill set, we'll work with them, try to build them up. Usually at that point, if guys go break for lunch, I'll stay on the range, work with them a little bit, try to pick them up to, speed a little bit more. Nobody truly gets left behind, but I'm not going to set back the entire class for two shooters. I'll work with them during the lunch period, try to build them back up, get them up to speed a little bit more, and from that point on, we progress. I don't have really a set curriculum. It changes with every class, plus or minus, based on the skill level, but everybody definitely gets their learning, and there's no doubt about that. So.
And here would be a question, too, because we get a lot of questions, emails about, hey, have you heard anything about this instructor, or how do I know if I took a good class or not? Sure. Is that really one of the key components for when a person takes a class, and just seeing how the instructor kind of bobs and weaves with the class and kind of flows?
Yeah.
Is that really, I'm assuming it also probably takes a little bit of time being an instructor to kind of get that, but is that one of the key elements you can look at and say, okay, this is probably not working out if the guy's just hardlining, saying, okay, we do this, and we follow it no matter what, versus a guy that can kind of flow with the students?
There's definitely a time and place to have that set curriculum course class, especially if you're talking about, a trainer or instructor program or group of individuals that is, top tier unit type shelf guys that come from, X, Y, or Z place. There's definitely a time and place for that, but you have to be a student of that personality and skill set and abilities to deal with that. Recently, I just took a class with Jeff Gonzalez from Trading Concepts. Jeff's a good buddy of mine. Took his combative pistol too, and it's a very well-structured class, probably one of the best ones I've ever seen as far as how the class is laid out, structured, and its foundation of building. And there was a big variety of skill sets there, but everybody got their chance. They really did. They learned. Most of the students here were all pretty squared away, so it wasn't an issue. I could see if there were students that haven't had a better training background, just kind of the occasional hobbyist shooter, they weren't going to do very well in that class. Just because of the way it was structured and set up. It was designed specifically to press you and to get you to develop, as well as, kind of break you down and build you back up a little bit, if that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
But I think there's certain criteria, I guess, for people that they should meet, or the instructors should meet, based on student levels. That's my hotel phone ringing.
Oh. Well, answer it.
Hello? Okay, thank you. Okay, that was good. So, housekeeping. Anyway, I have no clue what that was. I just don't even want to talk to them anymore. But, there's students on the instructors from the local level schools to the more higher profile places. I guess the best thing you can really do is read the after action reports that are out online. Call the instructor, email the instructor. I get those emails weekly. Um, and if it's a good instructor, if they're a good instructor or teacher, they will tell you, hey, yeah, you're ready to go for this. No problem. You'll be fine based on your previous training background from what you're telling me. And at that point, yeah, not a problem. But there's also some schools out there that will just take people just to take their money. And those are the ones I kind of avoid. So ask the questions of the instructor. Ask them if they feel, you're ready for this based on your previous training history, your current practice schedule, and go from there.
Okay. Just another question here, and maybe good to clarify. We had Bill Burkle ask a question of who makes up Sentinel Concept. So obviously it's you. Do you have any other instructors, or is it just El Solo?
It's myself. Will and I work together, obviously.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because of all the vehicle classes. It's like, oh, so that guy Steve Fisher, he works for you, huh? Yeah, I said, yeah, pretty much. That's what I do. I show up and make sure Will has water at 54 degrees and it's chilled, and he gets his grapes at lunch. It really will. So sorry, Will, I had to, dude. But yeah, Sentinel Concepts is currently, my company, my business. I'm the sole instructor there right now. I do have some adjuncts that are available to me. Myself and Will do teach a lot of classes under the Sentinel umbrella. You may see some other instructors on board later on this year coming into 2016 as well for some specialty programs. So.
Okay. Are you going to give Jaeger a shot at being an adjunct?
If James wants to, I keep telling him though, he's going to have to give up the two hands on the gun up thing and just go to one hand because he's doing it wrong. And I've been trying to explain it to him for a while, but James just doesn't listen. He never does.
And you would require him to shoot a 1911 teaching, right?
Yes, I would. Absolutely. 100% he'd have to give up his Glock. So, yeah. He does have a Kimber. I'm not going to lie. James does have a Kimber, and he hasn't broken it yet. So.
Yeah. Another question here, and this is an interesting kind of question. What would Steve pick for his last cigar?
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that a death threat? I'm not sure how to take that. It would probably be either a Partagas Black. Oh, man.
See, I think he was asking because he's seen you getting crunk in the hood a lot lately, and so he's just figuring out this might happen.
It would probably be either a Partagas or I would still have to go with the Partagas over anything else.
Okay, and then Tyler wanted to know what your kill-death ratio in Call of Duty was.
37. 37.
37. There you go, Tyler.
I don't even play Call of Duty. It's so stupid. I don't even. You cannot operate operationally in Call of Duty because it's just not real. There's some 9-year-old kid running around with a knife gacking you every time you pop back up. I hate that game. So stupid.
It's like you had one very bad experience with that game.
I did, and then I just threw the controller down and left the room and got a scar, and that was great. And I was like, really? No, kid, watch what you get. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to our EDC discussion.
Yeah.
What about and again, we also have a lot of guys and girls that work at home that listen to the show, and so we've gotten a lot of stuff of how should I let's say I'm out working or I come home or I go out and I come back, what I say the number one rule is you carry your gun on you all the time.
Absolutely, 100%.
What about for example like for example I'm right now lately I've been carrying 2 guns because. By the way, it's time for a great plug. I have this beautiful Glock 42 that was done by ATEI and Sweaty Money Bloody, and so you don't not carry a gun done by ATEI. So I carry my Glock 42 and my Glock 17 most of the time, but and I carry flashlights and I carry a weapon mounted light. Should people from I guess when they go out to when they come back in, is there anything they should ever drop out of their ADC, for example, or whatever they go out with, they should carry it home all the time?
That's kind of one of those things. Cause, you get home, you're running around, you're doing things change all the time. That's why I really like the Raven pocket shield kind of setup that I have because it's a spare mag, a flashlight, and a knife. It goes in my pocket. Generally, I always have a tourniquet on me. It's right there, cat tourniquet that goes with me quite often. I've been playing with the rat tourniquets for a couple of, probably, 6 odd 7 months now. I've been using a rat tourniquet quite a bit because they're handy. I can just run it down my pants leg or through my belt or around the waistband. I like those a lot. I think people should generally at least have close accessible to them, at least a good med kit, flashlight, lantern in the house should be on hand just for anything major, but definitely carry your gun, have it on your person. It's the best, easiest way most to secure it, and that's a definitive must for me.
Okay. What about staging guns around your house? Now, this could vary between, people that have kids and apartments and whatever type of stuff. What are your thoughts on staging guns around a house?
Oh, I've got guns everywhere. I'm not going to lie. They're every door, every corner, every closet has a gun. That's just mainly for all the coyotes that run through the yard chasing my chickens down. Not gonna lie, that's true. No,
You're actually implying that you live somewhere, which
that's
is
true because I'm never home. I'm not gonna lie. If we're gonna stage a long gun in the house, especially if there's children around, it has to be secured yet accessible. There's some really good safes out there that do that. I have a wall-mounted one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my hand. It's got a code button on it. It holds an AR-15 or an 870 in it, or a shotgun of whatever my choosing. That's really a great setup. I like it because it's up, it's off the ground, it's bolted into a wall, it's secure, it's quick and easy to access. And if you are going to stage a long gun, make sure it's inaccessible to children. Obviously, even a handgun. But for long guns, it's even more so because most people just take them, throw them behind a closet door, or try to put them up on a shelf somewhere in a closet in a bedroom. Just make sure you get the gun locked up and easily readily accessible.
Yeah. And I maybe want to jump onto this here because I was kind of curious on your thoughts on this. And I mean, obviously, we tell people to carry around in the chamber. I mean,
Yeah.
And I guess that there are still a lot of people that don't feel comfortable with it, and it maybe sounds like I don't want to say like primitive question, but not a lower knowing person in the gun industry, but that's not the way I really want to phrase it. But for those that don't carry around in the chamber, that and especially at home, because I get this a lot of, I have kids at home and I'm worried about that mistake, and I always just tell people, well, if you have your gun on you, they can't get it.
Right.
But obviously, I'm assuming I know you recommend to carry around chamber. But have you had any discussion with people that don't or are afraid of it, and kind of?
Yeah. No.
What's the discussion that you have with them?
I generally ask them why. What is their thinking? Why? Is it? And usually the standard answer is, well, I bought this Glock or whatever gun because my buddy recommended it, or I liked it and read all the reviews, but it doesn't have a safety. I'm like, well, actually, it technically does have safeties. As long as you keep, every firearm, regardless of what it is, has a mental, mechanical, and physical safety on it. So failure to employ any of those three things is going to result in bad things happening. It's that simple. But getting into their head, trying to get an understanding of why they're uncomfortable carrying around chambered, that's usually the first step to it. And then we have discussions about that. And then it goes into some practice, more hands-on weapons manipulation, usually because they're kind of uncomfortable manipulating the gun. After that, it's like, look, if you're worried about the kids climbing all over you, great, get a security holster. It's no different than someone who open carries, at least smartly open carries, to literally have a good, Safariland ALS type holster, something with a good locking mechanism that, the little spider monkeys that are climbing all over you at age 3, 4, 5, 6 cannot gain access to, but yet you can immediately gain access to that firearm and have a round chambered. And if you look at the videos, probably about a year or so ago, that one, I believe it was in New Jersey, where the woman was home alone and the guy kicked the door in.
Yeah.
Attack on her. I mean, if you slow it down, you look at it, that was 1.5 seconds. From the time the door came in to the time he was on her in that confrontation. And if you think you're going to get around chambered and get that gun out of the holster and get it employed in that time frame, you're probably absolutely wrong. I almost bet on it. So.
Well, in my thinking is there too is, especially with me having kids, it's I need one hand. If someone, if we role play, if that's the right word for today's show, if we role play that scenario in my house, if I have a kid I have a kid at home, I might need my other. I'm not going to just let them run at my kid. I might need that kid to protect or hold or grab, and then I just need the, what's the fastest you've ever been able to draw, rack, do a one-hand manipulation, and shoot? I mean, I don't know if you've tried it, but
I've never really timed it, but it's happened pretty quick a few times during classes and during other moments. So it's it's possible to do it rather quickly. That's a good question. I should put it on a timer and I'll let you know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that would not be the optimal thing if you have to grab a kid, someone's kicking in your door, and then do a one-hand manipulation to shoot the gun.
No, an unloaded gun is basically a brick. You might as well just beat them with it at that point because that's about all you're going to be able to do.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of anybody putting in snap caps in their gun because they're concerned or worried about uh, the gun going up? They don't want to carry an empty chamber, but they want to put a snap cap in there. Have you ever heard of that before? Or
I've heard some really silly stuff from time to time, but yeah, no, not that one.
okay, I was just curious there. So the guys are going at it in the chat here.
I
It's
believe.
amazing. So we're gonna hit on some more stuff here, but I do want to talk about obviously the car thing we talked about.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen Will on his Facebook page. He puts up actually just a lot of good tips of adjusting your carry and stuff like that. But what about for actually in the car and carrying and having access or setting up your EDC when you're in a vehicle? Number one question would be, what are your thoughts on having the gun on you versus, I've seen a lot of people that actually set up like a car rig, so whether it be, next to their shifter they have, they'll take like a Serper or Blackhawk holster and modify it to, screw it into the plastic on the car. What's kind of your thoughts on having an off-body yet gun mounting device in your area?
I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not. I speak of that from experience because I had one mounted like that back in roughly 1993-ish. Let me see. I'm trying to think of which car that was. That was in a Taurus show that I had, Taurus that I had at that time. And
Ford Taurus. We want to make sure we're clarifying. We're talking Ford Taurus.
yeah, it was a Ford Taurus at the time, and I had one of those mounted up, just some plasticky Uncle Mike's, I think it was at the time, holster, or Phobos or somebody, God forbid. And I literally just had it screwed underneath the column. I was involved in an accident where I was T-boned, and it dislodged the gun and the holster from the vehicle. I should say from being mounted in the vehicle, and it basically turned into a missile inside the vehicle. Not a good thing to have flying around in there. And the other situation is also if you are ripped from the vehicle, you don't have access to your weapon. Now they also have a weapon as well as the car, which is another weapon in itself. The gun has to be on the person, I feel, for the best overall chance. And for me, when I do that, I pretty much mainly carry appendix most 90+% of the time. 95, I would say. So.
Okay. And we actually had that when I posted up late last night when we got done talking at like 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, whatever time it was.
It was late.
Where were you at, by the way, at that point in time?
I was somewhere between Nashville and Memphis, I think, somewhere in that corridor. It was.
And now you're in Ohio?
Yeah.
Jeez. And you were in Texas?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just want to make sure that was clear for everybody, the amount of driving you've done. Now, we had somebody comment. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, yeah, I'm probably by the time this trip is over, I'll have logged almost 9,000 miles in the last, couple weeks, so, yeah.
You're a hardcore guy.
I'm stupid. I should have stayed in school. I'm sorry, Mom. Yeah.
We had a question about appendix carry. A guy was saying just no matter what he does, he can't get it to be comfortable or right, and he had, I think he had an incog holster, so, a good quality holster. There's many out there. He want to know if you had any tips for carrying or making, I guess, tips for carrying, and as well as are there any hints, tricks to make it more comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing is going to be obviously the gun. I find, I'm a bigger guy. I've got a built-in survival system. That means I'm, kind of fat, as well as tall, torso lengthwise as well. I find that for me, carrying a full-size gun works much better than carrying a smaller compact gun or subcompact gun. The smaller guns have a tendency to kind of dig in and ride in when you sit, where the longer guns have a little bit more length, a little bit more plane for you to work with. So when you do sit, they kind of adjust better on the ride. For me, at least personally, pretty much my appendix rig holsters are Ravens. That's pretty much what I wear. Everything from Raven Concealment at that point. I do have one from Spencer Keepers. I have one of his holsters that Craig Douglas turned me on to years back. It's another absolutely comfortable holster. The new Raven, the Eidolon, is just amazing for comfort and carry. Them and Cal the4 knocked that thing out of the park. Absolutely my most favorite holster in the world. So it really is going to depend on the body type, the style of gun, but I find that carrying a larger gun is actually more comfortable when I carry appendix. So.
Well, and if somebody can't carry appendix too, that's fine. You don't have to carry appendix, right?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with strong side carrier anywhere between, any position A to B that you can get access to the weapon immediately.
Okay. Um, I think that I was just double checking his question there. I think that about answered his there. But no, going back to it's the Eladon, right? I've seen it from Sam has one, and the design on that is absolutely amazing. For those that haven't checked that out, the Raven Concealment Eladon is fantastic, and
I'm glad you can say the name because I don't even know what it is.
I think that's what the name is. That's how I guessed it, but the design on that is amazing, and I can tell you as soon as those things come in stock, they're going. They're going.
Oh, you mean they're not out yet? People don't have them yet?
Yeah, I know you have plenty. I've seen the pictures. You have like 100 of them or something.
It is a great holster, and the crew really knocked it out. It really is. It's awesome.
No, awesome design. Like the little, you gotta look up. There's a little hook feature that pushes in, and the gun just tucks in. It's a brilliant design. I give them that. But we got a few more questions here in the chat, and then we'll do something a little fun. We'll just wrap it up. Just nice, easy listening at
Sure.
at KMPT 105. Steve Fisher.
Oh, you're killing me.
Let's see here. Bill says thanks for the answer. He wanted to know if William Petty was in South Carolina this weekend. Not sure on that one.
Not unless he's going on vacation. No.
Doug, I don't know if he's directing this at me or you, but he said, when are you dropping off next 1911? Do you have another next 1911?
No.
Okay.
No.
You had to think about that, though. You had to think about that.
I did. I have too many guns out at too many places right now. I'm getting tonight an M&P back that I loaned, transferred over to one of the officers here to use. He had it for about 5 years, and I just am now getting it back since he's retired. I totally forgot about it, and he was like, hey, dude, you want your gun back? I'm like, who is this, and what gun are we talking about? Great.
Because if Doug's curious, I don't have a 1911. I don't. That might be. I don't want to give you. I don't want to give you a heart attack. So.
I'll get you one if you want one. I don't care.
I don't know, but then you might convert me from all my Glocks. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
It is an awesome gun. I'm not gonna lie.
We had a couple people hopping in about people that don't like carrying with. Oh, this might be something good to hit on too. Going back to the empty chamber thing, and
Sure.
you might even hear this a lot too. That Goat Killer 68. That's a great name, and appreciate you too. I know he's commented before, but he says he hates guys that don't carry around in the chamber because the Israeli military does that. And I'm like, and he's saying, yeah, that doesn't make it right. They're just the only ones doing it. Have you ever had anyone come in and be like, well, Israeli army does it and they're spec ops, blah, 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 so it's okay if I do it?
I had a student about, 2004 time frame who was a big Israeli modern technique kind of guy, and every drill he would literally turn around, unload the gun, set the gun back up after the drill was over, put it back in the holster every single time. Good on him for following through. Absolutely. Have no problem with that. And then I caught the whole line off guard with an up command, and he was like, and I was like, surprise, yeah. And after that, he kind of converted back.
Yeah.
He kind of realized it. But the biggest thing that we find to validate this is through force-on-force exercises. So we crank up the Sims gun or the UTM guns, and hey, more power to you. Bring what you got. That's all I tell guys. If you feel confident with it and secure with it, that you're going to have the situational awareness and the ability under stress to actually get the gun out, chamber around, get on that person, and get rounds on in a, dare I say, critical dynamic incident or something like that, whatever it said.
Dynamic disruptive environment.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you actually feel that you have that ability and that you're going to be able to do that every time under that stress, have at it. I'm not going to tell you one way or another. Your mind's made up. As long as you practice, as long as you train, as long as you're proficient and you're safe, that's all I care about.
Okay. We have Colt 45 Iris that says Fisher owes me a snap cap. And then Doug was curious. I know you and Rob are pretty intimate with each other on certain details, and Doug was curious if you know what position Rob Pingus carries at. He was curious.
I really don't know because I've never seen Rob carry a gun.
Okay. That is hilarious. Let's see here. Oh, he was Nick Lino.
Ah,
There you go.
got it.
But I think that about changes up what I was just gonna just kind of chat with. So let's plug a little bit where you're gonna be at, where you're going, more stuff on that. We'll do something a little fun. We'll get out of here. So upcoming classes. So April and on, you have your full schedule posted on your website, right?
Correct. Full schedules up at sentinelconcepts.com. You'll find it on Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook. We also have our own kind of little alumni section that we call Sentinel Concepts Bar and Grill. It's searchable for students, and it gets a lot of updates in there as well. It's going to be a busy year. This next week, literally, I get done with this class, head right to the old Blackwater facility, now Academy in Moyock, for a writers event to teach at. I come back home for about 3 days, leave for the Texas Technical Officers Association Conference, the TTPOA, which is probably the most awesomest organization there is. After that, it's back on it again, and I've got about another full month with a couple of consulting gigs, classes, TV. It's just gonna be crazy. Plus, I'm working on a full line of targets that are getting printed up right now. It's just gonna be a really solid year, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Man, that's awesome. So, I mean, yeah, you're definitely busy, especially at least just off of how much you drive. So.
Yeah, but with as much gear as I take with me, because as these classes start going back to back, you go from a handgun class to a vehicle class to a shotgun class or to a shoot house class, so it always changes. And by the time I fly and get all the dates to match up, it's like $3,000 in airfare. It's absolutely stupid. So,
you're taking donations as well?
No, definitely not taking donations. Hey, I was going to ask you, how do you like the Rudy Project classes, by the way?
Oh, I actually have two of them right. That totally looks staged, but it's not. I have two of them right in front of me. That's terrible, but no. The radons here have been awesome.
Great class.
I haven't got to take them out clay shooting yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, so light, less than an ounce. That's ridiculous. And then, are these the J? Not the Jayhawk. There's something similar, but no, I wear these all the time. And again, both of these, the big thing, and again, too, I can't express this enough, especially if you have phones or glasses. Like right now, looking at two monitors, they don't make the colors all blurry and crazy weird. And I could literally wear these the rest of the show and be totally good with it.
Don't do that. No, just don't do that. Okay, no, stop. No, they're really good glasses. I've been really happy with them so far. They're fantastic. The optical clarity is amazing on them. So I've been really happy with mine.
Yeah. No, they're fantastic. Well, we look at that. We had Michigan Trainer even hop into the chat out here.
Uh-oh, which one of the trolls is it?
Funny enough, they actually laughed like a girl in the chat. He. So you called it right there.
What else is new?
But let's do a little segment on here, and we could consider this a rebuttal, maybe, of sorts to the Michigan Trainer guy, specifically Keith, who apparently isn't on Facebook enough. So we're gonna do a little operator as FUI, OAF, or get you killed on the streets.
Oh God! All right.
So number one would be crunking. Is it OAF or get you killed on the streets?
Oh, it'll get you killed on the streets, definitely. Except we had 27 dudes with guns, so they weren't taking it. And we had an APC, so it was good.
An APC?
Yes. It was total militarization of the police, I'm not going to
lie. Temple indexing. OAF, get you killed in the streets.
Oh, OIF for sure.
Yeah. Bonus question then, and rebuttal to Keith, because Keith picked get you killed on the streets. Temple indexing or I should say to 50 Cent. OAF, get you killed on the streets.
Absolutely OIF. Absolutely operator. Hell yeah. The problem is he's too young to remember like movies like Platoon, where they're all in the hooch dancing, and singing with M16s and M79 grenade launchers and 60s while they're smoking. Yeah, absolutely. It's just a carryover, dude. It's absolutely we can do that. And when the gun does go off up in the club, yeah, you'll know it. So it's right. What's his face would have been really good off. Who was the football player who shot himself?
Not Steve Burris, something Burris.
Plaxico Burris.
Plaxico Burris, there we go.
If Plaxico would have just temple indexed it, he would have been fine and not shot himself. I'm just saying.
Very good point.
I know.
We should try to get him on the show to talk about that. So what about I don't know if you partake in this particular fluid or not, but Old English OAF gets you killed in the streets.
Oh, I would definitely killed in the streets, no doubt.
No
Absolutely,
doubt.
200%. It
What
should.
about
Anyone who drinks it should be shot.
what about the high gravity version though? That's like 20%.
It's hard for me because all I pretty much drink is bourbon.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm a snob. I'm not gonna lie. It's all bourbon.
Glock 43 operator or get you killed in the streets.
Well, until a lot of people get them out there in their hands and shoot them, which I'm not gonna lie, it's a very good shooting gun. Operator, yeah, definitely a good gun.
Okay. Lasers on handguns. Operator get you killed in the streets.
Definitely not gonna get you killed in the street, that's for sure.
And then, of course, the finale here would be 1911's operator as Fooey or get you killed in the streets.
God's gun. Been killing people for 110 years, bro. Anybody who says differently is an idiot. I'm just going to tell you right now. It doesn't matter. As long as it works, that's all. This is it right there. 1811. There's no question about it.
Operator.
Operator. Absolutely. Hey, if it was an operator, why was it in the military for so long in service? That's all I got to say. Killed more people than Glocks. That's all I'm talking about. Keep your plastic Austrian sissy pistol. Which, jokingly aside, I've got probably equal amounts of Glocks and 1911s, and they're both absolutely awesome guns as long as you get a good one that runs, like anything else.
Speaking though of 1911s, I do want to hit on that. So you have your own Steve Fisher edition of Nighthawk Customs coming out, right?
Yeah. I do have a gun with Nighthawk custom firearms that I did spec out. Not a signature gun. There's way better dudes out there in this world that deserve that kind of stuff than me. I looked at a gun, had pistols, from them before, looked at what I would like in a pistol, and had them build it up, and they built it, and it's an absolutely great gun. It's just the things that I would like to have in a gun for myself, and that's what they built, and it's been great, and they're selling a ton of them.
The Steve Fisher special?
No, it's actually called, I believe, the Shadowhawk, and it's absolutely a great gun. It comes in a couple of variations with and without the RMRs attached to it already, and it can be available in a commander size to a government model. So, really good gun, and I've got a few more surprises coming with that soon. So,
what are your thoughts on the RMR on 1911s?
Oh, I love it. It's a force multiplier on any gun. There is a slight learning curve like anything else, but any competent shooter within 500 to 1,000 presentations will be absolutely fine with it as long as they keep their presentation clean and flat during their draw strokes. There's not a problem at all. My first round consistency for hits at 50 yards on tack strike steel is consistently from the holster right around 2.5 seconds from the draw, meaning we're just doing this about 18 hours ago on the range, probably 20 hours ago on the range. Here's the thing. As we progress as a whole, as a shooting community, there's technological advances that are going to allow us to perform better under stress. From the adaptation of red dots to carbines to shotguns to pistols, why wouldn't you when you only have one thing to focus on, and that's the dot? Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, under stress, you'll never do this, or you'll never be like, shut up, just knock it off. I've played with them enough in Force and Force currently. Used them a lot on some UTM guns as well. They're definitively faster and much more accurate at distance under speed as well.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, too, we were going to try to have Crystal Blade on the show, but I think we're going to run out of time for her to come on.
Yeah, so that's terrible.
Next time...
Gun bunnies, I just love them. They're awesome. Just can't thank them enough for being out there.
So hopefully next time we'll have enough time to get her on the show. So hopefully we'll try to plan that out better next time. But we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. So guys, hope you had a lot of fun there. And again, thank you, Steve, for just coming on and just chit chatting with us. It's been forever since we talked to you.
Yeah, it has. We need to do this some more. And remember, hey, I'll be up in Wisconsin soon. Hopefully I'll see you up there. I'm going to be stopping in at Midwest Industries, hanging out for a while. So
I'm literally going to be stalking you the minute you cross the border.
That'll be awesome.
Minute.
Just make sure you do. Let me know, dude. We'll go hang out, get some lunch. I'll buy you a bourbon, and we'll talk about life and 1911s and Glocks and all kinds of fun stuff.
All right. Well then, oh, you're not coming up till the summer. I was gonna say come up to my work. We go shoot pheasants, but
I'll do that too. Just tell me when. I've got time. I can always drive.
okay. Well, we will make it happen. So, for everybody out there, we really want your feedback here at Practically Tactical. So please send us any compliments, feedback, guest suggestions to nick@firearmsradio.tv. While you're on iTunes, you go please check out all the other shows here on the Firearms Radio Network as well by visiting firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. I highly recommend going and checking out the Gun and Gear Review podcast, episode 74 that I guest hosted. We hit on actually a lot of medical EDC stuff and everyday carry stuff, so kind of go along with this here. I posted up a kit that they tourniquet, duct tape, and a few other things for like $15 you can buy from a website. I have the link there in that show, so go check that out. So, Steve, thanks for coming on, and for everybody out there, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you listening, as we greatly appreciate it, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Practically Tactical.